All right, thank you again for staying with us on Sunrise this morning. It's time to talk a little more about the economy. You heard the news that the National Bureau of Statistics announced that Nigeria has emerged from recession. We slipped into recession under the weight of the coronavirus pandemic and falling oil prices last year, and we got news that we're out of recession by 0.11%.
They'll be telling us what it means to the man on the street. That's all that's important to him.
Absolutely.
Because he's having to pay a lot more for what he eats. That's basic. He needs to eat, and he's paying a lot more for it. And you're telling him, okay, the economy has come out of recession. Duh.
Or is it recession or reception? But we'll come to more of that. Dr. Olusegun Omisaki is here with us. He's Chief Economist, Nigeria Economic Summit Group, as well as Akpan Ekpo, who is a professor of economics and public policy at the University of Uyo. He is also chairman, Foundation for Economic Research and Training in Lagos. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here. So, Dr. Omisaki, we're out of recession, but people are not yet at the reception.
What does it mean?
I think
because you know the reception is where you have the meal, right?
Yes, yeah. It's always a very tough question, even for the economist.
Even for an economist.
Yeah, when you are faced with what does it mean for the common man.
Exactly.
It's like trying to put you on spot, you know. But
that's what the common man wants to know.
Yeah, but again, we need to also look at the definition of the common man. Everybody is common. We are all in this economy together.
Okay.
So let's start from what happened, actually. We're out of recession. This is and by 0.1%, where marginal, but in the context, we are at least out of the...
we have moved towards positive.
Yeah, we have moved toward the positive territory. So if we can do better, we can be on a better path, you know, trajectory, and then beginning to see the impact on the common man and the rest. But if we don't get out of this, it's going to be worse, even for the common man. And what it means is that now our productive capacity, our employment, production, consumption seems to be, you know, becoming much more better. And that is just a simple definition of what it means. The productive activities have resumed. But to dissect everything down to how it affects common man, then that's another debate.
And that's why you are here. Well, Prof, the figures aren't, well, the recession figures might have inched up a little.
Yeah.
Inched. But the prices of commodities are skyrocketing. They're in speedboats.
Yes.
Out of the reach of the common man.
Yes.
So
that's why for me it's not yet uhuru.
It wasn't uhuru,
yes.
Even before we went into the recession.
People forget that before we got the recession, the economy itself was not doing too well.
Exactly.
Before the pandemic came up and the sharp decline in oil revenue, we were still not doing well. People forget that. We're what the economists call the stage of stagflation. Okay? We're rising unemployment, about 30% or so. We're rising inflation, and today we know that inflation is about 16%, for food 20%. You put all this on, you put all together with the so-called GDP growth rate, okay? So the pandemic and the sharp decline in oil revenue made things worse, okay? But as I said, technically, once the economy shows a positive sign, no matter how little, I said technically, you are getting out of a recession. That is, you are recovering. Yeah. For me, 0.1 is so negligible. But in the technical sense, you are recovering. If you can stay on that path, maybe you can improve the growth.
Prof,
the point is that the point is that even if you grow, let me put it this way, that growth rate is so much less than the population growth rate. Okay? And for the whole year of 2020, it has confirmed that we are in a recession of almost 2% for 2020. This is what you're saying in the fourth quarter. Okay? So how it affects the common man is the point he's making. But the issue is that once you're on that recovery path, and government does certain things, okay, the common man, however you define it, will begin to have some impact.
But the challenge there, Prof, is that as Dr. Mishaki has struggled to do, you know, that conversation, that communication hasn't drilled down, because the question a number of people will be asking in their heads is, where did they get the figures from? Because most certainly the feeling is that the figures didn't come from the streets. It didn't come from Mile 12 Market or from Sabongeri Market in Kano. It didn't come from the realities that people encounter on a daily basis.
No, well, actually, the MBS does a survey.
Yeah.
A survey of relevant organizations, okay? Which may at times even include persons, okay? So they do a survey. It doesn't drop off the sky those figures.
Yes.
And then when they have those figures, they now go through a technical process to arrive at these numbers, okay? You may be right by saying, the common man, I heard you saying that the price of Gary has gone up and this. So you have to put that in, you have to tie that GDP recovery rate with inflation, with unemployment, to say that things are not.
So if we tie those figures down, just as you
If you tie it down, that means, in my view, the common man, or what I call the poor, is not gaining anything from the economy for now.
Yeah.
Because when you are in a recession, high inflation, the poor suffers more. He has less purchasing power. The rich can draw on savings to survive for a while. But if you stretch it longer, everybody gets to suffer, in quote. Short medium term, the poor suffers a lot, or what you call the common man, that's the question. As I'm saying, that don't look at, for me, GDP as an economy is important, but it's not the only measure.
Yeah.
Okay? Actually, you are talking about even the growth rate. What if you put it per capita? Does that mean that that person has that money? If you take about, because our GDP in nominal terms, or even real terms, has increased.
Yes.
If you divide it by the population, it means that each person has that money. But that's not the case. But it gives you a basis for doing analysis, so that going forward, everybody will benefit.
It actually shows that on the per capita, just like what Prof was saying, the per capita level, you have about, each person has about 2,500 so US dollar. Yeah. So if you convert that to either black or white or blue market, let's say by 390, the official, you have an average of, say, 1 million naira per year. See, whether GDP per capita or GDP, it doesn't, you need another narrative, another discussion as to the development, as to what happens to inclusive growth, are people being employed, is the inflation rate being stable and the rest. So the point I wanted to raise the other time when you said, oh, the data may not come from the people, we all feel that. But the question is, when the MBS released that we're in recession, why didn't we debate that and say, no, we are not in recession because you didn't take the data from me?
Because
we claim that.
Doctor.
But we are how? We say, no, me, I'm seeing the recession.
Common man, for instance, does not know the meaning of recession.
One.
He is at the point where he was when you said we were not in a recession.
Yes.
He's still at that point.
Yes.
So all this your talk doesn't mean anything to him.
I accept that. And it's global. Even in the advanced country, nobody is going to come to everybody's room or house and say, oh yeah, let me know what's happening. It's going to be sampling. Yes. I wish the MBS boss, they say, but the fact is not even the credibility of data, but how those pronouncements affects an average, and Prof has been able to put something down. So let's look at an average life. You wake up in the morning, an informal person, you go to the market, or you are a downfall driver, or whatever you do. The first thing that meets you on the road is what at the point of purchasing something, inflation. And that is why I feel inflation is the most critical indicator that you can look into and say, if I want to affect the average man, let me look at how his savings, the value of savings is relatively stable, or what he buys today is more or less the same tomorrow. But inflation has left us behind.
You spoke about per capita, and you spoke about, you mentioned $2,500
no, if you have
year. Do you think the woman selling a car on the side of the road makes that much in 1 year?
Exactly. That's the point. You know, when we say per capita,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean because not
It doesn't
everybody
include the woman selling a
actually.
car.
No, it's an average. It's an average.
It's like you
Yeah.
have the richest man in Africa in Nigeria,
Yes.
right? And
You also have the poorest man in Africa.
In
Yeah.
Africa,
Yeah.
in Nigeria. So now, assuming you have one person who is rich, who earns about 5 million per month,
Yeah.
and you have 10,000 people that earns maybe 1 or 2 naira. You say, okay, what is the per cap? What is the average? The average will be like something like maybe 2 million or so. But
It's
but
an
it's fake.
average measure.
You guys are just confusing me.
It's fake. You're right, doctor. It's not correct. It cannot be correct.
And that is why the discussion has gone beyond GDP as a measure. That is the most convenient indicator that you can use.
So,
but people talk to
Yeah.
other developmental indicators like
yeah.
inclusive growth, like opportunities for employment. These are the real indicators that you can
Which
use.
don't exist.
You see,
Welfare
in
that
other
affects
words,
people.
you can grow, and yet you're not developing. Yes, you can. GDP can grow
Sounds
by
like bad news.
yes, GDP can grow by 6%. Yet you still have high unemployment.
True.
You still have
Yeah,
inflation.
we
That's what you're saying.
experienced that.
You have to look at other social indicators.
Yes.
For example, the way I say, it, you have to ask: do people have access to even running water?
No.
Who have access to quality education?
No.
Who have access to quality health?
Health. No.
All these issues are part of the package.
So then,
Okay, so that's why he's saying that GDP fine, but you must look at other indices to say that a country is doing well or the citizens are doing well.
Prof, so if we look at other figures, the inflation figures, the per capita income figures, and so many other economic figures, can we say that we actually are out of a recession?
That's why I use the word technically.
Yeah.
As an economist, I said technically we are on a recovery path.
Okay.
Okay, but
you
let me
also said
let me
something-
let me make a point.
Just a moment.
Yes.
You also said the other time that we were growing at something in the region of 2-3% GDP even before this technical recession of the third quarter.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the population growth was twice or double that figure of our GDP at the time.
Right.
So we could say that even then, technically,
Yeah.
we were in a recession.
No, the way we define it is that you have to have two consecutive quarters of negative growth for you to enter recession.
Okay.
But yes, you have
Two
to have.
quarters.
I
Yes,
understand that.
Yes,
I get that.
But
That
let
is
me say, let me-
that's the economic language.
Let me make a point also.
But you haven't answered my question.
I'll answer, but let me make a point. Research has shown that an economy has to grow at least double digit or more, 10% or more, sustained for about 15 years to have a dent on poverty,
Wow.
poverty reduction. So you could see that we are
So
still,
we haven't even started.
we haven't arrived, in my view. You might disagree with me.
No. It's obvious,
15
really.
years.
Sustainable. That is, you sustain for 10, 15
Double-
years. Yes, 10% and above. That is why our Vision 2020 years ago said Nigeria we should grow double digit, sustain for a long time. That thing was put together in 2009. And they said by 2020, we'll be one of the world's 20, let's say, yes. So these are some of the issues. And when we say an economy is doing well, we're not saying everybody is doing well, but at least, in my view, at least 80% should be doing okay.
Now, I'm glad you brought up that plan, you know, all these
Development plans.
development plans that we have.
Yeah.
Do you really think that we have our eyes on that ball and that we use them as goals to be achieved?
Unfortunately, no. I think over time, the nature of development plans in Nigeria has become what you need, a report or a paper you need to just print out for people to just know, oh, we've planned for, in those days, and I'm Prof is here, when you have real developmental plan in Nigeria, the idea, the concept, the input, and the connection between implementation is there. But now we are quick to release reports. Everything is reports. Yeah, GPM is just report.
Yeah.
But the implementation is the gap is so wide. the government might not even know what is in that report or the capacity, whether we need to borrow. So you can have report, and it's happening in most of these developing countries. Everybody release reports anyhow.
Who puts up the report
when we had
government?
when we had plans, when we had genuine plans, we're not doing badly until we jettison planning.
On a lighter note, let me remind you of a slogan in the 90s.
Yes.
Mercedes for all by the year 2000. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Everything for all. Housing for all by the year 2000.
Everything was the magic year 2000. And here we are now.
If we implement our plans properly, we're making progress.
We've been having the national development plans for decades, Prof.
Well, I won't say for decades, but we have been
having development plans for decades. From as far back as even pre-colonial, there were development plans that, you know, they say, okay, from this decade to this decade, you know, development plan, this decade to this decade, development plan. And so over the years, we have been having development plans.
Yes.
So if you say, both of you are saying that we have development plans that are just paper tigers, does that mean that we even want to develop?
No, the point I was making is that we had plans, and they were being implemented up to the early 80s, in my view. The 80-85 plan was abandoned. Before then, we had plans. All these things you see in Lagos, all this infrastructure, they were based on those plans. Okay? Then they were abandoned by the military planning. Then the World Bank advised that we should jettison planning at that time, because planning was seen as tantamount to socialism. We abandoned planning. And since then, we've been having, later, we started having plans, but they were, as he was saying, there were many of reports. The plan, you're telling me, we had Vision 2010, perspective plan.
Yeah. Vision 2000, Vision 2010.
We had agenda, some point agenda.
Yeah.
We had transformation agenda.
Yes.
All those things we had. Even as we speak now, we are putting together.
We had here GP.
We have here GP.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I've been involved in all of these things, so we don't have time to discuss them. And then now we are doing the medium-term national development plan.
Yeah.
Okay. My view is that those plans are well articulated, but as he's saying, if they were implemented,
yes.
So what's the implementation gap that we have? Because definitely, if we have an implementation plan, Dr. Mishaki, the plan would not just be a report. It would be something that we have a plan to not just note it, but to actually, you know, get it off of the pages of a paper. What are the infrastructure deficits that have made it difficult, if not impossible, for our plans to see the light of day?
Yeah, just like Prof said, I think it's from the process. Planning, really, if you take the example from other developed or even developing countries, so emerging countries like China and the rest, planning isn't all about gathering ideas together. It starts with that, and it ends with the implementation. But unfortunately, the culture has always been, let's gather the idea what the government should. And when you see a typical plan, you'll be saying the word, the government should, government should, government should, and it ends, right? And most developing countries, that's the problem. But if you look at the case of Indonesia and some of these Asian tigers, you even see how they make it legal. In other words, the Senate or the National Assembly will legislate that plan to mean this is not the plan of the present administration. It's not the plan of APC. When PDP comes or whoever comes later, they implement it.
Yeah.
Those elements are missing.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, we are planning for 2021 to 2025. And the guy told me that this plan it has about 1 year lifeline now, because by next year, another political stuff comes in. What if you get somebody there by 2023? Are you telling me it's going to continue with what had been planned before it was? So there are a lot of challenges.
Yes.
But despite that, I think if the government can be more focused when it comes to the implementation, you can still do a lot, even when you are not doing everything.
Yes.
So Prof, that's the essence of planning.
Prof, you said you have been part of these plans.
Yes,
and this gap was always there.
Yes, and the gaps were identified.
And
And they identified, let me be honest, sometimes it's lack of capacity and political will. Political will.
Could you please decrypt this political will? I've heard it so...
No, it's very simple. Any government is in power. You see, for me, this is how government operates. If you're an advisor, you tell government, if you do A, this will happen. If you do B, if you do C. Then government looks at it and decides which one it wants to take. Government, in my view, does not, on paper, government represents all of us to reconcile our differences, okay? But in practice, that's not the case, in my view, from what I've seen over the years. I've been around for a very long time. Government, in my view, represents a particular group. A particular group, okay? Takes charge, has power, and uses that power in its self-interest. If it benefits the society, fine. That's the way I've seen it over the years. Okay? So, like now, for example,
if it doesn't, too bad.
The president might be honest about what he wants to do. People around him might have captured state power, use it for their interests. If, in so doing, if, for example, in Nigeria, we did those plans properly, and we build a large middle class, maybe we will not be saying these things.
Yeah.
Because there's no country that have poor people. But we have a large middle class, okay? Where they are, at least they're able to produce for society, then the economy will be doing well. But when you don't have that, but you still have a few people. For example, I was telling someone the other day, look, that I get amazed when I go to Abuja or Lagos Airport, and I see the number of private jets in a poor country.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, in a sense, we are doing well. Those who have bought those jets, they're Nigerians.
Yeah.
They've made money. Okay? So
one way or the other.
So when you say an economy is not doing well, you have to be very careful.
So, Prof,
yeah.
Looking at the trend now, because I'm sure you've analyzed the reasons why we have come out of this recession. And we're approaching the end of the first quarter. So second quarter will start in April. Do you see us going in the same trajectory and improving on this percentage?
Well, let me say that I didn't want to be too technical. Even in the recession that we are talking of, maybe you will agree with me, the special type, because it's affecting both the demand and supply side of the economy. Because there was a total closure because of the pandemic. Everything was closed down.
True.
Locked down, okay, not the typical demand side. So, if we keep doing what we are doing, then we did open up. We open up. People start doing their businesses. And in fairness to government, certain things have been put in place. If you look at the economic sustainability plan, ESP, if those things are implemented, like the housing program in that ESP, the economy will be on a recovery path. Okay? We'll be on a recovery path. Let's not jettison the fact that if an economy grows, it's better for everybody. It's important. Okay. But if government does not do some of those things, we may fall back.
Recession.
And that will be difficult.
Well, and the point, sorry, and the point is, historically, if you look at 2016 recession, you ask yourself, what was the problem?
Yes.
Purely oil.
Yes, that's true.
And after we recovered, we spent about 5 quarters, very sluggish recovery. And from 2016 to now, we've had an average of 2% growth, 2016 to now. Yeah. So though we are coming out of this, even though the factors now are a little bit different, the COVID-19 and the rest, 2 factors. The drivers, the oil is doing better. The oil price is doing better.
Yes.
The COVID-19,
but production is reduced.
Because of some of the OPEC plus agreement, but it's still a sign.
We still haven't
when the price
learned our lesson, not to depend on oil.
No, you can't just learn it.
No, we've been saying that all the time.
If you don't plan,
the pandemic has taught us not to rely on oil.
But we've refused.
How much was oil during the pandemic?
We refuse.
$20?
We refuse. We've been saying that for years, that we cannot depend on oil to run this economy. Because for simple reason, oil is a wasting asset. You don't control the price. You don't control the output. Let us diversify the economy.
talking about
what we can control.
yes,
resources outside of oil.
Yeah, talking about diversifying, and we have just 30 seconds. We're already out of time. Dr. Omishaki, the ESP has that agriculture ambit.
Okay.
Do you think, giving due attention, giving due attention and focus, national focus on agriculture, do you think it is something that can replace oil for Nigeria?
No. You don't even need to complete that sentence. No. When we say agric in Nigeria, what do you mean? If you check what agric means, crop production.
Yeah.
Crop production as a subsector of agric controls more than 90% of output of agric. What is food processing? Where is the linkage
So that is the
between
definition of
agric and industry?
The value chain.
Other countries are doing better in agric and not just isolating agric. Cow everywhere, all those stuff. No, this is not just about cocoa.
But
This is about agric processing,
The
food
entire
processing,
food
chain.
which
Value
is
chain.
linked to the manufacturing sector. What happens to decline? This one, it's even normal for manufacturing sector to keep declining.
Yeah.
Doctor,
So-
does it mean anything if you are able to at least produce what you eat?
Oh, yes.
So you don't have to import so much food. Does it make any difference?
I don't understand that concept of producing what you need. If you produce, right, what you are producing, do you really eat them? Kind of. We import a lot from, and it's not.
So, in other words, we are
importation.
not paying attention to what we should be
what you are
paying
saying
No, we
is
are
that
not.
we need to be at least be adequate in food production.
Okay.
We have to we call it food adequacy.
Yes.
Okay? Now, food sufficiency is that you have enough and then you have extra to export.
Okay.
But at least be adequate in your own country.
So we start from somewhere.
Yes.
We could continue this conversation. It's very, very exciting, but we are out of time now. We really have to go. Dr. Olusegun Omishaki is Chief Economist at Nigeria Economic Summit Group. Thank you so much for your time, as well as Akpan H. Ekpo, who is Professor of Economics and Public Policy, University of Uyo, as well as Chairman, Foundation for Economic Research and Training in Lagos. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
We'll continue in a moment. Do stay with us.